Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to the video. I hope everybody's day is going great. And real quick, I want to show you guys this amazing app called Upcomer. On this app, you can easily track every Overwatch League match and set notifications. You'll never miss a game. Along with that, you can follow your favorite Overwatch League teams and players with exclusive content like highlights, interviews, and news. But what my favorite part of the app is, and what I think makes it amazing, is the awesome statistics you can find about every team and player. I use the app myself, and it's awesome. Be sure to download it right now, guys. It's available on Android and iOS. Alright, so let's just jump straight into it, guys. I know why you're here. Yes, XQC, there's a chance that he could appeal his ban and be back in the Overwatch League. Yesterday, a tweet came out from Richard Lewis, a very popular figure in the community of esports. He's been a journalist, an esports host. He's just been around for a long time and has contributed a lot to esports. Whether you like him or hate him, he definitely does contribute. So today we are going to cover this article. It's really big, guys. It's huge. But if you don't have time to look at it yourself, I will cover some of the most important parts. Him defending XQC and why he shouldn't be banned, and why XQC should appeal the ban and how he can. And if he does, can he actually get unbanned? He posted this on Twitter saying, "Report. Overwatch League's secret code of conduct leaves potential appeal open for XQC." And what this links to is a massive journalistic report. Huge shout out to Richard Lewis for putting this together. It's a long read. It's very big. We'll go into some of the parts of it, but I'll leave the link down below if you want to check out the entire thing. It is a good read once again. Shout out to Richard Lewis. In the introduction paragraph, he says, "Blizzard's Overwatch League is currently undergoing the sort of teething problem that only happens when you try to invent an entire esports landscape almost overnight and rush through what other titles have had in place for years. One of the chief criticisms has been the lack of transparent code of conduct, despite the league having to make repeated rulings on disciplinary action, primarily regarding player conduct on social media. This air of uncertainty has led to a series of embarrassing public incidents, such as coaches apologizing for accidental bumping into players, and players having to delete tweets including images of a cartoon frog on the grounds that it is offensive." So if you don't know either of these situations, basically earlier this week, David Pay, he made an apology for bumping into one of the Houston Outlaws players during the halftime of their match. Myself and a lot of others thought it was pretty extreme to have to make an apology and full statement about accidentally bumping into a player. And then the second thing he's talking about, which we actually haven't covered on this channel yet, is the other day on Sinatra's birthday, he posted a picture of Pepe with a hat on, basically saying it was his birthday. And from what Slasher tweeted, he said this: "From what I understand, Blizzard reached out to San Francisco Sherlock management to ask Sinatra to take down his birthday tweet because it had Pepe in it, which Blizzard is trying to crack down on, regards to being potentially offensive." As you can see, Sinatra tweeted, "LOL, had to delete the tweet last night, but thanks for the happy birthday wishes, guys." And another follow-up tweet, Slasher also said this: "Blizzard has recently removed Pepe signs from the L crowd and has requested other players to remove Pepe-related memes and images from their social media accounts. Personally, while I understand Blizzard's concern, I don't think it's a big deal." So yeah, Blizzard is cracking down on Pepe the meme, the frog everybody loves, the Monka S, feels good man, feels bad man, all those memes they're cracking down on. They don't want any of the players using. So this is what Richard Lewis is referring to, just for some more context. So right off the bat, it seems that Richard Lewis is kind of calling out Blizzard and saying you can't just be giving out these fines without showing us the exact rules from the rulebook, the code of conduct. We need to see the reason for these punishments and what warrants how severe or not severe they are. I completely agree with him. The opening statement was amazing in this article. He then talks a bit about the punishments that were handed out. We already know these: the Taimu, XQC, Silk Thread, Prophet, stuff like that. He mentions this: "The league commissioner Nate Nancer has done a series of interviews that addresses the code of conduct and potential unionization of players. In an interview for Telegraph, he stated plainly that the reason for not publishing the rules are bound by that. We just haven't gotten around to it." And he also said, "We definitely want to publish the rules on the website. If you go to NBA.com, you can download the rules and check them out," right? So this goes back to Richard's opening statement that the league was rushed and put together very quickly. They haven't even gotten a rule set out to the public. So these are already some pretty good reasons as to why the league has not done a good job so far with all their punishments, why they were punished, and what for, what warrants it being so bad. It's super unclear, so let's go ahead and jump into the next part of this video where Richard Lewis really does a great job of defending XQC and explains why he shouldn't have been banned and how Blizzard was unjust with him. So this is what Richard Lewis said after the introduction in this article. After a public appeal on Twitter, this publication has obtained the code of conduct in its entirety, and as soon as any potentially incriminating metadata from the whistleblowers has been assessed, we will publish it in full. So he's going to release it to everybody publicly. He also said this: however, what we wanted to do today was take a contentious look at XQC's case and see how this code of conduct applies to penalizing a player in the circumstances they did. It will probably come to you as no surprise that the document is fairly flimsy, 30 pages by our count, with 10 pages of what are dedicated to what players can say and do on their personal streams. Let's take a look at what we assume is the role in which under XQC was punished. We have to assume because despite the existence of a codified rulebook, the Overwatch League has never addressed it specifically in any of their statements regarding punishments of players, which is amateurish at best. We refer you to the section 6.4, the anti-harassment section. The league office is committed to providing a competitive game environment that is free of harassment and discrimination. In furtherance to that commitment, players, team managers, and owners are prohibited from engaging in any form of harassment or discrimination, either in-game or outside of the game, including without limitation, that which is based on race, color, religion, gender, national origin, age, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or any other class or characteristic. So after reviewing the entire code of conduct, Richard Lewis and his team are saying this is the rule that XQC was more than likely punished under. And then he goes on for a couple paragraphs basically defending XQC. And although Richard Lewis stated that this was more than likely the rule that XQC was punished under, it still does not make sense and is not just at all. Here are just some of the things he said to defend XQC and to debunk why XQC shouldn't have been punished under this rule. Saying that the use of an emote in a Twitch chat cannot be a form of harassment, especially when there is a ton of proof that XQC was not specifically using it or trying to engage other people to use it when Malik would come onto the broadcast. In fact, there is a ton of proof, as we've already gone over on this channel, that XQC used it a ton before Malik was even part of the broadcast. Richard Lewis honestly does an amazing job defending XQC in this article, and in my opinion is pretty much right on about everything. Here's a really good paragraph here. He said this: there are a few things that certainly troubled me with the way this punishment was expressed. First, it states without equivocation that Langyal's use of the tryhard emote was inarguably racially disparaging. Blizzard clearly do not mean in a singular instance in the Twitch chat that was caught via a screenshot either. First, they used the word repeatedly, when on the day in question he posted it once. Also by saying and on social media, they also open up his Twitter history where he has also used the term tryhard7, which wouldn't be appropriate for the allegation that he had used the emote because he saw Malik Forte on screen. Why? Because on the day in question, March 2nd, he didn't tweet the emote or any variation thereof. That means that Blizzard feel other instances of him using it on Twitter have been racially disparaging. This certainly pushes Blizzard to explain what their instances were, because the issue had never been brought up before. If they had issues with his use of the term prior to March 2nd, then they had an obligation to address it with the player. So already, Richard Lewis in this article is putting together some amazing defenses for XQC and has explained very well why this rule does not make sense for XQC to be punished for. At least for how harsh it was and the way they worded his punishment. It's honestly quite ridiculous. He continues to defend XQC throughout the entire article. He brings up another part of the Code of Conduct, 6.7, entitled Non-Disparagement. And Richard Lewis believes that this rule might be the one that XQC was punished under for the statement he made about the casting. But in XQC's defense, he used the skit that Monty and Doa did about the extremely questionable conduct on the Watchpoint broadcast. He tied it back into the tweet that XQC made about the casting, saying it was cancer, and how this was not appropriate from Blizzard either. And after going through the entire non-disparagement section of the rulebook, Richard Lewis came to this conclusion. Given that the non-disparagement clause is pretty vague and focuses on untrue comments, it seems that stating something such as "that casting gave me cancer" would be enough to warrant a 4-match suspension, even for repeat offenses, when clear violations such as anti-gay slurs only warranted a $1,000 fine. In short, the whole thing is a mess, and it's incredibly difficult to see any rationale of his suspension and eventual termination beyond Blizzard not wanting XQC in the league. He then said, fortunately, what the Code of Conduct potentially leaves the door open to is possibly an appeal conducted by an independent body. This is something I would urge XQC to do if I were to speak to him. not just for his own reputation, which will always be sullied to some degree by the insinuation he is in some way racist, but also for that of his fellow professional players. The talk of unionization is moot if players are too afraid to go ahead and make the full use of their legal rights. It would be a fruitless endeavor if Blizzard can simply refuse to give players the right to appeal. XQC has nothing to lose, it seems, and should jump at the chance to present all of this before someone not involved in a league that Blizzard desperately want to make a profit from. At the end of the article, he posts the last section of the Code of Conduct, which outlines what players can do if they feel they want to appeal a decision made by the league. It seems the league is willing to at least have an external party review some of their policy enforcements should a party demand it. So if XQC demands an appeal and demands somebody looks at it, then there is a chance he could be unbanned and back into the league. Now, we don't know the likeliness of this. Of course, it depends on XQC and whether he wants to pursue all of this. And in the article, Richard Lewis urges XQC should do this. And I agree, he should. I wouldn't back down in this situation. There's nothing for him to lose. And I find it quite ridiculous that he was labeled as a racist. And again, guys, this is a very long article. I did my best to just show the main topics of it for those who don't have the time to sit down and read the entire thing. But if you do have time, definitely check it out. Amazing read. I really do like how Richard Lewis defended XQC and pretty much called out Blizzard for how they labeled him a racist without any proof at all, really. And honestly, based on the code of conduct and the rules he showed us, I don't believe this punishment was fair for XQC. Compared to the other punishments that were received by other players, it just does not make sense that he got a 4-game suspension, $4,000 fine. A punishment was definitely warranted though for what he's done. Just not of that magnitude, and the way they expressed it, which I think Richard Lewis did a great job of explaining, was just extremely unprofessional by Blizzard, and seems like they just wanted to force him out of the league. And that's pretty much the gist of this article, guys. Of course, there's a ton of more information I didn't cover in it, so click the link down below in the description. Check it out yourself. It really is a great read. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I upload Overwatch League content every single day. I want to keep you guys updated on everything. Let me know if you think XQC should appeal his ban down in the comments. And I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.